I don't believe in retirement. I believe in a refirement. Take your experiences and your talent and find a place to plug into the community because they need you. And you need them. You need the socialization and the purpose that that creates for you. My passion is about giving, and I am passionate to educate nonprofits of how to develop your donors, how to be strategic. And if you're in here, you're kind of thinking about charity to some extent. You probably have the ones that are your top ones that you support. And so we'll look at different ways of how to support them. You don't want to be giving to a lot of charities. In investing, you want to be diversified. In giving, you don't want to be super diversified because then you get more stuff in the mail. If you are a little more narrowed and you give more significantly to a charity, they'll take a little more attention to you. And you might be able to have more of a voice or more of an impact in what they're doing. And that can make a big difference too. You don't have to be a millionaire to make a difference in a local community. So giving charitably improves your physical and mental well-being. It lowers your blood pressure, increases feelings of happiness, reduces anxiety and depression, and extends lifespan, and lowers your stress. It is really beneficial. And it does that because you're getting into the neurochemicals that are generated from giving, from being involved. You get the endorphins and the dopamine and the oxytocin. So that's why you feel good when you give and when you help out the charities, if it lines up with your values. Okay, your lasting legacy. What kind of impact do you want to have on your community? This is what I start to see in people as they are slowing down in retirement. How do you want to be remembered by friends and family? Do you want to give them a healthy inheritance? Surprisingly, doesn't really matter how much they got. If they haven't been trained on how to manage it, they will go through it in a couple of years. And which values do you want to pass on to future generations? What are you modeling for your kids or family members? It used to be you gave so that you could reduce your taxable income. Well, you have to give a lot if you are not itemizing. But there are other ways to do things strategically. And typically, what people do, the simplest one, is checks are the easy option. If you want to be specific about what you're giving and where you're giving to, I would do something like a check. You might have made a purchase of some investments that might have increased in value here recently, or if you bought property and you were one of those that bought the right property that we've had huge increases here of late, you now have a different price than what you bought it at. You have a fair market value. But if you sell that and give cash, you just have created a taxable consequence for your own tax return. So that's a little bit of a hurdle to get over for people to give because it's going to cost them in taxes. They don't want to give money to Uncle Sam. They want to give money to the charity. So you can turn an investment into a donation and give that fair market value to a charity. And the charity doesn't have taxes to pay. They can sell it without any tax consequence because it's a donation. It is just like getting a check. And it works for you because you no longer have the tax implication. Estate planning and IRA beneficiaries. So when you give an IRA to your kid, how many have inherited an IRA from their parents? Not so much. A little younger crowd. Okay. Well, what are you really giving them with an IRA account? You're giving them a tax bomb. they now get to pay the taxes on this new IRA. They changed the rules in 2019. They came out with the Secure Act. It used to be you could take that monies and make it your own, stretch it out over your life, and you wouldn't have very much that you would have to pay for taxes. Think about your tax return. You know, if it's a $50,000 over 10 years, that's $5,000, not a big deal. But I have clients with 2 kids and $1 million in their retirement accounts. That's $500,000 each. That's going to be $50,000 a year into their personal tax picture. So why don't you consider, instead of leaving your kids with this horrible tax bomb, consider putting in an insurance policy. Beneficiaries of life insurance don't pay taxes on the receipt of that insurance. So that can be a good option. So what is a QCD? It is a qualified charitable distribution. Who's eligible? Have to have an IRA account. It does not work for 401ks. You have to have an IRA account or 403bs or whatever else you might have. It needs to be an IRA, and you have to be 70 and a half years old. Okay, that was their first date that they started with when you had to take money out, mandatory distributions from your IRA. Again, Congress wants to spend money, they need yours. So they're going to make you push it out of the IRA. So how do they work? You make your distribution and it's payable to the charity. You maintain records of the donation, and it used to be a maximum of $100,000. Now it's $108,000. It's set for inflation, okay, which is nice that they did something responsible and kept that number moving. So what are the benefits? You get to have that deduction. No itemization is required. Reduces the taxable required minimum distribution, and the donations reduce the adjusted gross income. And we'll talk about why that's important. So AGI is an accumulation of your adjusted gross income, and it determines what your Medicare premium is. And it determines if you're going to pay extra. So if your income is too high, you're going to get to pay a little bit more. And the higher your income is, the more likely you're going to be paying some IRMA. But you can be strategic in how you plan that. I've been told several times that my husband is my balance. I know that I'm his. We used to talk about doing something, and he'll see every pothole. And it's like, yeah, but think of the opportunity. So we kind of work our way through that. I do encourage that you be in agreement in what you do in your household for charity, if at all possible. I get really upset with people that are not good stewards. Stewardship's a big deal to me. And that's why I want to make sure that where my money goes is going to get used well. How do you want to impact? What legacy or change do you want to bring? What are you doing? You're your own restrictor.